Hey there, it's Joe with Sonically Disruptive. How are you? It is time for a review. Leprous have released their 7th studio album, Aphelion, back on August 26th. So the Norwegian progressive metal, progressive rock, art rock, whatever you want to call them, band are one of these groups who have really considerably changed their sound since their first release, which was in 2009. Their sound always seems to be evolving somewhat, and this is definitely a continuation of that evolution. While there are many similarities to their last album, which was Pitfalls, it feels like it has more energy to me. While Pitfalls was very introspective and it felt very vulnerable, while this album still has that vulnerability and definitely that introspection, there feels more strength to it, and that there's an acceptance, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Now, I waited a couple weeks before doing my review because when I first listened to it the first couple times, I absolutely loved this album. I would probably rate it at about a 9 out of 10 if I would have just gave a review at the beginning. I noticed that sometimes after I sit on an album for a while, if I really want to love something, I kind of make myself fall in love with it, and after a little bit of time, realized that maybe I oversold the album a little bit and perhaps it's not as great as I initially thought it was. So giving it some time, my feelings on this album changed a little bit. So like I said, I started off probably about a 9 out of 10, and now it's probably about a 13 out of 10. Yeah, it came in high and it still grows. That's rare. Doesn't happen very often. I would say if you love copy and paste music, you're going to absolutely despise this album because these songs are always shifting. They're always changing. They're altering the structure, adding, removing different instrumentation, all these little vocal nuances. It's constantly moving. And every song on this album shape shifts big time. You may start off in these very calm waters, and as the song goes along, the waters get a little more choppy, and by the end of the song you may be in a all-out storm. And yeah, that's the thing about this album. It's so dynamic because there are times when I wanted them to give me more earlier, but looking back you realize if they had, it would lessen the payoff and lessen the effect of the song. And structuring it in the way they did, I feel really enhanced the music here, because there are magical moments in each and every song when you realize and it hits you and the song absolutely pays off. That happens throughout this album, and it's exciting when it does. And the dynamics are also heightened by all the different instruments used here. Not only do you have your standard guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, vocals, you have strings and you have horns, and it's all coming at you in different layers and different moments, and sometimes all together. And the production here is so great because when it does come at you all at once, you hear everything perfectly, beautifully produced, mixed, mastered, the whole works. It's pristine. As far as standout tracks here, it's the entire album. There's not a song on here that should be skipped, and skipping songs on this album should be illegal, and I hope somebody passes that soon because that's a law that we need passed. Listen to the whole album. It's beautiful. As far as standout performances, I'd say Einar's vocals, of course, are magnificent. They are incredible, and they are incredibly difficult. As per usual, there's a huge range here. They're dripping with emotion. The phrasing is interesting and always shifting somewhat. And it's full of killer melodies that stick in your head for a long time after hearing the song. With Leprous, I often feel that it's all inside the nuance, and that is definitely true. Like Bard's drumming throughout the whole album is absolutely killer, but it's not the kind of drums that come out and attack you right away. It's all these just complicated, complex patterns and all these just intricate fills that are perfect, and just same with the guitar, same with the bass. It's all these textures and layers. So there are moments in each and every one of these songs where the whole band kind of comes together. They get into a groove. Everyone is shining. And those moments are absolutely brilliant. But the magic is because you had to wait for it. So at the end of the day, this album is my favorite album I've heard this year. And there have been some killer albums that I absolutely love. This stands above the pack for me because it has such great replay value. Due to the nuanced complexity of each one of these songs, each listen is like experiencing something new. With each listen, you're going to find and discover something you didn't find before. And I can't tell you how many times I've listened to this, and each time I can pick something different out. And that's a sign of a fantastic album that grows with you with time, and you can keep listening to it and it doesn't get old, and you don't want to take it and run it over, or you don't want to trash the file and never hear the band again. This album gives you that replay factor that is so crucial to a great album. So in a nutshell, this album is going to give you masterful songwriting, pristine production, and absolutely amazing performances throughout with killer songs. I'll leave you with one little analogy. Sometimes foreplay can seem a little unessential, but at the end you realize just how much it heightened the experience and maximized the outcome. That is what this album does. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. See ya.